Hi, I'm Brian Martin,
And I'm Jennifer Martin.
And I'm June Chamberlin.
and this is the very first episode of Real Estate Love on our Facebook page. I'm very, very excited to share it with you. Real Estate Love is something that's grown out of Jennifer and my business. We have a passion and a desire to help real estate agents, and that spills over into allied services, to escrow companies and to lenders and insurance people. And so for many, many, many years now, we've had the opportunity to help individuals grow their business, but not just to grow their business, but to help them in their personal life also. The way that we came up with the name Real Estate Love is that when you look at it, it says real estate is in parentheses and then love. What we wanted to do is provide a way to help people have successful home life or productive home life or a loving home life in addition to growing their business. And
Absolutely.
So that's why we started it. So, Jennifer, how long have you been in the real estate business?
It's been right at 32 years.
Okay, and we're a multi-generational company, correct?
We are.
How many generations do we have?
Well, right now we have 3.
But Monday we'll have how many?
4.
Did you know that?
No.
Brennan is going to be joining our company on Monday.
Oh.
So that's really, really
4
exciting.
generations.
Yeah. And that's why we wanted to invite June to come and to be with us today, because she has a historical perspective about how this business all started. But before we get there, I'd like you to tell us how you got started in the real estate business.
So back in 1986, my sister and I were sitting around and thinking that it would be wonderful if we found someone to work with our parents in their real estate business here in Fresno. And we kept throwing out names, and wouldn't this be a good person to work with our parents, and wouldn't this person? And finally, we looked at each other and we said, oh my gosh, why don't we work with them? And so both Kelly and I went out and got our license, and we encouraged Norma, and so Norma joined us, and John already had his license, and he joined us, and so there you were with all 4 of us.
And then it's grown from there. Then several years later, we acquired a real estate franchise, and our business grew from about 11 agents.
It was 11 agents.
And then we have about 180 agents, 185 agents today.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's we have a thriving business, and then our business is spilled over into investment properties and into other real estate type businesses as well. So real estate's been really good to us. We have a lot of experience, and we know about families.
We do know about families.
Yes, we do.
So June, tell us a little bit about when you and Jack decided to get into real estate.
Well, we were living in West LA, and Jack was working for the for AAA and selling insurance. And he then was promoted to be the assistant manager of the Santa Monica AAA office. But to Jack, who loved to work closely with people, that was very boring. And he really didn't feel like he was doing anything that he wanted to do. So I suggested, why don't you get your real estate license? Here we are in this
so
big...
You're the one that caused all
Well,
this.
I suggested it.
By the way, if you look at the little green light up there, then you'll be looking right into the person's eyes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggested it. And we lived not very far from UCLA, and he read in the newspaper or someplace where they were having real estate classes that he could get his real estate license. So he, in the evenings, would go to those classes. And when he finally procured and passed the test and got his real estate license, he decided to leave the automobile club. And he had been with AAA for 11 years.
Wow. Well, that's a big deal to that's like an entrepreneur breaking off and going into a brand new business that he didn't know anything about.
Well, that was actually kind of his disposition anyway. He didn't mind working alone. In fact, oftentimes enjoyed working alone. He liked to make his own rules.
So
That's true.
So that was the very, very beginning of the business that we have today. How old was Jack when he started?
Let's see. He must have been in his 50s.
I thought so, yeah.
And we decided to go to Southern California, down into Orange County, that would be a place where he would feel comfortable selling things.
Now, Jack had a particular style of selling. What was his favorite way of selling?
Boy, he just...
a handshake, really.
Yeah.
How did he get new business?
He networked with people all the time. He couldn't sit down at a donut shop without immediately talking to people. He couldn't, if somebody had the wrong number on the telephone, he would assure them that they didn't have the wrong number, that actually they had gotten the right number. And
by the way, who do they know that they needed to buy or sell in real estate?
Or were they looking for a house?
Right.
Yeah, that was.
And he loves to knock on doors too.
Yes, and hard work wasn't. Long hours were not unusual to him.
And he wasn't afraid to put in those long hours.
Not at all. No, I did resent it sometimes.
How did it work out? What was it like in being in real estate?
Well, it's kind of exciting because you live on commissions. And I told my grandchildren before they went into real estate, be sure that your spouse is one who can comfortably live with somebody that makes just commissions, because you don't have a set income. And consequently, you have to kind of roll with the punches. And when you have a big escrow coming in that is supposed to close, and you've got your budget all planned out, you're going to pay off bills and you're going to do this and that, and then that escrow does not end up closing, now you've got to refigure. And
So that must have really affected the family life when all of a sudden the money that you were expecting to come in did not come in.
I just told my grandchildren, you pay the bills that you really need to pay to keep your credit reputation, which is, if you own a house, you pay your house payment. And forget about the food. You pay your house payment. You pay your car payment because you have to have your car. And you call up those people that you owe payments to and just relate to them that you're going to be late and that you're still going to pay, and make some arrangement with them. But don't just not pay your bills, because your credit reputation has a lot to do with what you're going to do in your later life.
Well, it's integrity.
Yes.
It's your integrity.
And not only that, but it illustrates the point. In the workshop that Jennifer and I teach called Real Estate Love, the model is called home. And there are 4 specific pressures that affect the home. And one of the biggest pressure, of course, is money and how to deal with that. And what you're hearing here from June is how to deal with those kind of severe money pressures and how it affects the family. So that's very powerful. How was it? What was it that made you decide to move from Southern California to Fresno?
Well, at the time we moved to Southern California, several of our children lived in the Orange County area, and we were enjoying our church life there very much, and really enjoying Orange County. But when the kids started moving back to the valley because they had married people from the valley and eventually wanted to move back to San Joaquin Valley, we were kind of all of a sudden left alone. Jack at that time had a real estate office of 28 agents, but he was doing more business by himself than the 28 agents were. So one day he decided he had warned them all that they were taking too many lunch hours, too many late morning hours, that he was actually paying for everything so that they could come to work. So the warning, and we loved all of them. They were all great people. We loved them. But the warning didn't seem to take effect. So he one day called a meeting and handed them all their licenses and said...
He fired them.
Well, he didn't consider it firing. He released them. He released them.
He fired them.
He released them. And
so they could go and develop something else.
So they could go to another broker.
It's kind of like I released him, but he never looked at it that way.
I'm sorry. He fired them. He fired all those agents. That's an interesting story. Then he fired them, and then what happened next?
Well, then he said there's a little office next door to our big office, 2 doors, 3 doors, 4 doors down. And it's just big enough for June and I to work in. She'll take care of the books, which I had not done before. And
so you were the accountant
at our little office.
At your little office,
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Did you also help with the paperwork on the transactions, making sure that everything was done correctly? No.
He always seemed to make good contact with his escrow people, and they all loved him, and so they helped. I know that doesn't happen today, but remember, this was 40 some years ago, and
business was a little bit different.
It was,
but it was a lot the same
yes.
too. It's a commission business. You're working with escrow company. You're working with lenders,
and you have to work hard. Yes.
Yeah, that's really great.
But the little receptionist bookkeeper that had been in the company when there were about 20 some agents had made a good plan, and she worked it, and so I just took that over, and it worked fine. And the only thing that Department of Real Estate said was that I could not be a signer on the
trust account.
Mm-hmm. And so consequently, when we moved to Fresno, we decided not to have a trust account. Let all the money go through the escrow office, which was great with us.
Yeah.
We did not want the responsibility.
That's the way we do our business today still.
Well, you'd be surprised. Different areas do business. Different real estate areas do things differently.
That's right. They do. Yeah. All right. So, how did you end up in? Then when you wanted the family migration happen, and he was coming, and so when you guys came to Fresno, what happened then?
Well, he worked first for a year with Better Homes and Gardens,
Cal Real,
mm-hmm. And because he felt like he needed to find out what this area, how they worked, how they dealt with people. And he knew, of course, how he would, but he also didn't want to step on anybody's toes or go against what people did here.
He was really determined. That's not the word. Mindful of what he needed to do, and he knew there were steps that he had to take to be there.
Well, and he also said that he really wanted to know the area, and so he took that year. And felt like he could learn from others about different areas of Fresno, and many of those realtors had been here a long time, so he was able to glean information from them about the area of Fresno and what he needed to know.
Awesome.
And before he left Better Homes and Gardens, Cal Real, after a year, his last sale had been a building in Clovis that he had sold twice before. And the commissions, it was a commercial building, and the commissions from those sales, because the building was sold twice in just a matter of months, carried us through the first year of being on our own.
And you eventually bought that building.
No, not that one.
Not that one?
No.
Okay, great. Well, that's another story for another time.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
All right, so he had enough money, built up a reserve account, mm-hmm. which is really good, smart money management for a family. And that helped to with the transition to his own business.
Well, I don't know that we were that smart. I just know that God was good to us and blessed us with the sale of this building twice, which did impress Cal Real to leave on a good note, and that was good.
That's good, yeah. So they got their part of the commission.
Yes,
and everybody was happy, handshake, and they moved on. That's really great. And so then it was in 1986 that you guys joined Jack's business.
Right. I think Dad and Mom started Westland Realty in Fresno in 1983.
Mm-hmm. No, we didn't move here until December of 83, and he worked for Cal Real.
So it must have been about 1985.
85.
So in 1985, they started their business, and it was in 86 that Kelly and I joined.
Well, I think that's a good place for us to stop. We can continue with the story a little bit later on. But it's a great start because it gives us a little bit of history. It tells us about how the generations, the former generations, impact the present generation and the future generations.
I think before we end, can I share one other thing?
Yes.
So I always think it's really interesting to know that family business has been in our family for a long time, because my dad, after he got out of the service, mm-hmm. Went to work for his father mm-hmm. with his three brothers.
Right.
And so it just, I think, is a part of the history that's fun to know.
It is fun to know. Thank you for that. And what it shows is that our family has a lot of experience in being able to cope with the pressures of business, but not only to cope with the pressures of business, but to thrive as a family, and our family thrives. So today, all four of our children they're adults now, are in business with us, and we actually have our first grandchild who is going to be joining us, as we mentioned earlier, even tomorrow, which is a really cool thing on Monday. So this is what Real Estate Love is. It's a wonderful way for us to provide some encouragement and some hope. We have some skills that we want to share with you. We have some tools that we want to provide for you so that you can not only grow your business, but also to make your home life even better. And we think that would be really great.
And may I say something? The San Joaquin Valley is a good place to bring your family into businesses, because this is a big family area where large families, and our family is large now. It's 74 people in our immediate family.
That's pretty big. All right. Hey, Jennifer, can you reach over there and turn in the video? I want to say goodbye to everybody, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Yeah, no, you don't want to push that one. Nope. You want to go and use the mouse. There you go. Technology. One more time. And